Let's get talking now. As the clock ticks closer to the highly anticipated Nasarawa Investment Summit 2024, the state is poised to usher in a new era of revenue generation, marking a significant milestone in its economic development journey. The summit, scheduled for May 15 and 16, 2024, promises to bring together key stakeholders from across the globe to discuss and drive investment in the state's burgeoning sectors. Recognizing the importance of reducing reliance on federal allocations, Nasarawa State has implemented a comprehensive strategy that leverages innovative approaches, technological advancement, and a renewed focus on engaging the formal and informal sector. I'm being joined from our Abuja studios live by His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, Mr. Abdullahi Sule. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program. Yes, I'd like to start really with this program started in 2022 and a lot of developments after this start. But the state seems to be determined to become Nigeria's top investment destination. How do you intend to achieve this? And what has been the fallout of conferences or the summit before now?
Thank you very much for having me, to talk about this summit that is very important to us. As a matter of fact, before the summit, we have two major events that are coming within a week. The first is actually going to be on Friday in 2 days' time, when Nasarawa State, along with some Chinese companies, we are going to commission the biggest lithium processing mining company in Nasarawa local government area of Nasarawa State. Already, most of the visitors have already started arriving, from China, from India, who are going to be part of this event. And that company is actually going to be processing about 4,000 metric tons a day of lithium, and it's going to be a little over 1 million metric tons per annum. That's the good news that is happening right now, and that is also as a result of the offshoot of the last summit that we have in 2022, when some of these companies arrived in Nasarawa and started showing great amount of interest in looking at our various minerals. Because last 2 years, the event we had, we are focusing on agriculture and mining. So in the mining sector, we have seen a lot of benefits, offshoot of that particular summit. Just last week, I also commissioned another smaller factory. That one is just about 400 tons per annum, 400 tons a day that is going to be having, not 4,000. That is like 1/10 the size of what we are going to commission in 2 days' time. And we are hoping Mr. President actually is going to commission that. But the one you talk about is actually the second summit that we are having on the 15th and 16th, next week. And this summit, we actually put it more or less around industrialization. And the reason why we did that is because we have seen more and more discoveries, of various minerals. Gold, lithium that we have just mentioned, zinc, lead, and the rest of that. So we have been able to discover a lot of them within this period. And what we are doing is that we have so many other companies that have shown great amount of interest in coming to work in those areas, and that's the essence of the summit. So that's why we're having the summit, both to focus on agriculture, because we have seen renewed hope and renewed interest, and then renewed aggression in the area of agriculture and mining in Nasarawa State. So that's why the summit this time around is industrial renaissance. The last one we had was actually diamond in the rough. It's just to come and discover Nasarawa. So it looks like Nasarawa is being discovered already. We are seeing great amount of interest, and it's responsible for so many other benefits that are coming into the state. So that's what the summit is all about.
Your Excellency, but I want to ask you, how do we balance this up, get a win-win situation where the investors get their part, the government gets their part, the people also get impacted, creating jobs and all of this? Have you put in some key fundamentals required to drive this industrialization you're talking about?
I think before we started anything whatsoever, in the year 2019 when we came in as an administration with a document called Nasarawa Investment Development Strategy, Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy. And what that document was all about was to prepare for all these kinds of things. And a good example I will show you just quickly is about our oil and gas operation. So the oil and gas operation, we have an oil drilling taking place in Nasarawa right now. So what we did was to bring in some of our own people from Nasarawa State who have knowledge of the industry, who can now advise the state on the various areas. Can the state also invest in this? What is for the state? What is for the community? How do we protect the environment? There are people who are knowledgeable in the industry that we have brought in and formed a committee, and they are advising us in that. It's similar to what we have in that document that I call the NETS document. So what the document does is to actually explore all these areas and say that, okay, before we go into all of these operations, building a factory, mining operation, do we have an environmental impact analysis of that? So do we have an EIA? How does that affect the environment? How are the people benefiting? What is going to be the corporate social responsibility of the investor? How much employment is he going to have? How many of those people that will be employed are going to be people from Nasarawa State? How much are they going to earn, for instance? Then what is the state gaining at the end of the day? So how much development is going to be there? And before they did all that, in most cases, they asked us for some kind of security. The mining company I'm just telling you about for the lithium that is going to be, in fact, we had to do a lot. We constructed a road in that area first. Then we were able to have a military super camp in the same area to make sure there is full security in that area. Right now, at the mines of that company, there are over 1,000 Nasarawa State citizens who are working just at the mines. By the time we commission the factory, then we are expecting another huge number that will come into the factory. But most importantly, that I have always said is, how much are those people qualified who are also going to be trained? How much, and I'm happy to tell you that in their lab, which is one of my favorite places, in the lab where you have the chemical engineers, the chemists, the lab technicians, all of them are Nigerians. Not all of them are from Nasarawa State, but all of them are Nigerians. So I think that is one of the achievements in line with our thoughts.
Very interesting. There's a plan by the state, of course, fully explore the oil and gas resources in your state. Yes, that is, but public-private partnership is something that we also expect that you'll be looking at. As we move in this forum, we also hear this time there's going to be a deal room. Can you tell us more about this? Will deals be signed here, pen be put to paper, or what do we expect?
Being an oil and gas person myself, I'm very limited to how much I can talk as far as some of those operations are concerned. In fact, even the NMPC sometimes, because, oil companies are usually secretive when they are carrying out an exploration. It is when they are doing production, that is when they are proud to tell you that we are producing 150,000 barrels per day from this fund. We are producing 250,000 barrels. We have a reserve of 1 billion barrels. So it is after development that is concerned. But right now they are doing exploration. And the main people who are carrying out the entire operation are the NMPC. So I'm sure they have certain things that they are hiding. I know a lot about that field, but I cannot disclose so much of what I know. But one thing that I know is one of the greatest potentials that Nigeria, not even Nasarawa State, that Nigeria has, which is deep onshore. Most of our operations right now in the Niger Delta are either shallow water or even deep water. Most of the onshore operations, have been affected by one pipeline vandalization or some kind of insecurity or some, one problem or the other. So most of the operations in Nigeria right now that if you go and see, they are either in the shallow water, or they are actually deep shore. But right now we're beginning to see a new trend. By the time we have Kolmani in operation, by the time we have Ebenyi A, which is in Nasarawa State in operation, then we're beginning now to look, like a true potential of the oil and gas that is going to be. These are huge fields. That's the only word I can use. These are huge discoveries that are going to be there. And I think NMPC is trying to do what in the oil industry we call that integrated field development, where everything will be done from that particular sector. Where oil will be produced from there, it will be refined from there, all your flow stations are there, all the diesel and everything that you can think of are being produced from there. Now power is produced from there and fertilizer is also produced from there. So because there are no pipelines connecting anything. So you are just going to do everything there. That's why they call it an integrated field development. And I think that's what they are trying to apply, both for Nasarawa and for Kolmani, which is in Gombe. In fact, there is another exploration going on in Borno State, and I believe it is going to be more or less the same, even though Borno is very close to the two major borders, Cameroon on this side, and then Chad on the other side. So with that, actually they can load into, the Lake Chad Basin and be able to move up into either Niger or Chad. So they have a little more advantages, I think, as far as the dispatch of the finished product is concerned. But we are also at the middle of everywhere. Nasarawa is surrounded by Benue, Kaduna, Kogi, and all these other states. And they have the opportunity, actually, but the biggest of them is the FCT, which is one of the biggest consumer of energy in the entire country.
Brilliant. Most of those moves, many would say, is, of course, to also improve IGR from state and reduce reliance on federal government allocation. We're going to talk around that. But at the moment, how is Nasarawa doing with regards to improving IGR? Because we all know that's the way to go, considering what is happening globally with regards with funding of government now. How is it looking like with Nasarawa State?
I think for us, we are lucky in the sense that actually the state is highly blessed. As we are actually discovering one kind of mineral and thinking that, well, that's it. We have actually achieved what we are looking for. Boom, another discovery of another deposit comes in somewhere that is bigger than even the other side. So for that reason, I think we are blessed. And it's the same actually with so many parts of the country. But we are putting a lot of energy in ensuring that we explore and develop some of these, discoveries that we are facing. So that's where the matter of the IGR. So in our IGR, I think three major things happened. Number one, we were able to plug some of the leakages. We plug the leakages by actually engaging independent consultants, in doing part of the work rather than having only civil servants doing the work. That is one area. Two, we introduced technology. So by the introduction of technology, right now, both our chairman of the Internal Revenue and I are able to see, the consolidated revenue that we are having, in most part of the state. Because by doing that, we are able now to see and monitor what every MDA is able to do, and what we are doing both in the formal and the informal sector. And I think that's all we did. We didn't increase taxes. We didn't do anything in those kind of areas. But we have found some taxes that should have been collected that were not being collected. For instance, tenement rate. We are doing so much in tenement rate. Nasarawa State is able to generate just around Karu alone, roughly 100 million a month, just from a tenement rate in those kind of areas. And we have not even gone too far into some other parts of the state. So that's responsible actually for tripling what we made on ground as far as revenue is concerned. Because when we came in, our revenue was just barely 7 billion naira in the whole year. That is in 2019. Today we're over 20 billion, and we are going. But we believe that's not even where we're supposed to be. By the time we continue with most of these companies and everything there, Nasarawa should easily be able, to be generated not less than 3 billion naira a month. That will translate into over 36 billion naira a year. So that's the target, that's the direction we are going, for a state such as ours.
Brilliant stuff. We're also aware, Your Excellency, that you met with the Vice President earlier today. Yes, many would want to ask, and yes, we would like you to talk about it. Issues around, yes, minimum wage, fuel scarcity, and what governors are doing to support Nigerians at this time. Everyone believes that federal account allocation FAC has improved for governors, and they should do more. So what are we expecting? And can you tell us more about this meeting?
I didn't go to discuss minimum wage with the Vice President. I didn't also go to discuss, because those are not things that the Vice President actually discusses with us. But the Vice President is the leader of the country. As a matter of fact, Mr. President just returned early this morning. Otherwise, he was there, and holding forth for Mr. President. So all the issues you need to be able to go and discuss with him. And the issues I was discussing more with him, one, the lithium factory that I told you we are going to process, the economic summit that we say we are going to have next week, And then one area that always interests the vice president, whether you want to discuss it with him or not, he will discuss it with you. That's area of agriculture. Once you come in, the vice president will tell you, what are you doing now? Where are you on your agriculture and the rest of that? Because he is deep down rooted into this renewed hope, food security of the country, so he's deeply interested in that. And so even if it is not one of the subjects that you have, you better have it at the bottom that he will discuss it with him. So those were just the kind of discussions that I had with him. But we didn't discuss minimum wage because there is a committee that is actually working on minimum wage, and I'm sure the committee will submit their report to Mr. President, and because the Vice President are there knowing what to do. But it's a wrong impression to keep saying that the governors are not interested, the governors are not interested. No, there is a committee that has been set up. Governors are representatives in that committee. This committee is looking at minimum wage in three places. One is looking at how much the federal government workers will get. Two, how much is going to be the organized private sector? Three, how much are the states going to pay? So that's where it is. So all the governors are saying from the last meeting, I don't speak for governors. We have a chairman, the governor of Kwara State. He speaks for governors, and I'm sure he's going to tell you some more on it. But what we discussed and agreed is that we are going to wait until the committee summit because we don't want to jump the gun, and say that we are doing this, we are doing that. After it is said, if it is agreed on X amount, people can pay even twice, that amount if they can afford. But certain people, you have to look at your cash flow because of sustainability. You don't want to just jump off for political reasons and say, I'm going to pay this. And then at the end of the day, you come and start paying people salaries in percentages, and you start asking them to do this. And so I don't think that is honorable. So, and I think what the governors are doing is very, very honorable, for the governors to sit down and say, okay, the committee is there. We wait for the committee. We understand Mr. President already agreed that the effective date will be 1st of May. So even if we agree in June, it will be backdated to pay arrears from 1st of May. That's what the governors have agreed.
Brilliant. I think that's good news. Mr. Governor, before we let you go, some of the processes back to the summit and what the fallout of it, like the Nasarawa Agro-Commodity Project and the Nasarawa Technology Village Phase 1. I seem to be interested in these two projects. Can you tell us how far this is crystallized and what we should expect moving forward, and what more you want Nigerians to know about this summit as we wrap up?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, that was part of what we did in Summit 2022. We were able to enter into a relationship to develop, some of these lands that Nasarawa State has, especially around Abuja. So there is the land around Peninsula, which we entered into a PPP arrangement. We provide the land, we provide most of the other infrastructure there, and then a private sector will come in and we enter into an agreement, and we have a sharing of certain equity. So it's the same thing with the technology village you are talking about. Technology village, we agree we are going to do it in phases. Phase 1 has already been commissioned. As a matter of fact, Phase 1 was commissioned by the governor of Borno State, and it was named after, the vice president. So the technology hall itself, that's the hub, is being built and is going to be named also after some prominent people in the country. And yesterday I stopped by, to see the Phase 2. The Phase 2, all the structures have already been completed. They are at the point of roofing and then all the finishing, which is plumbing, electricals, and then all the tiling and the rest of that. So, and they promised me in the next 1 month they will also finish that, and it will be ready for commissioning. So we are doing it in phases. So it's the same thing that you now mentioned about the agro-commodity. It's also part of the summit of the 2022. So we entered again into an agreement with some of the other companies. For Nasarawa being a huge agricultural state, they will come in, they will be part of the commodity, and then they will have different smaller companies that are going to be processing, in some of those areas. So we selected an area, 2 areas as a matter of fact. The first area is around Obi, local government area, closer to Lafia. And the interest of some of those ones are especially sesame, because Nasarawa is #1 in sesame production in the country. So most of the sesame bought from Nasarawa are taken into other states of the Federation and exported from those states as if they are production of those states. So the company has been the one doing that. So when we say, well, we are interested right now in processing whatever we do in Nasarawa, inside Nasarawa, similar to what we did in the mining. And that's exactly, I think, what we are doing. So that one also is a big success. We have a lot of success also from that in the area of agriculture. A company called Saro Africa, who is a big player in Edo State at the moment for cassava, they are interested in coming to Nasarawa to do sugarcane. So they are doing ethanol from the cassava, but as you know, ethanol is better done from sugarcane. You have high yield and then better development. So they are coming into Nasarawa State purely and taking about 20,000 hectares of land, and they are going to do sugarcane only, especially just by the riverine area of Nasarawa State. So all those are various companies, and there are so many of them, smaller ones that I have told you. So many of them, some of them we commission, some of them are that, and that's where the revenue actually is coming.
And we expect that this IGR will double very, very soon. I must thank you so much. Interesting conversation with Governor Abdullahi Sule, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Thank you so much. I will wish you a successful summit, and TVC will be there, of course, to partner with you as usual.
Thank you very much. We are invited, and we are looking forward to having you there on Thursday and Friday. 2 different dates, 2 different events. First day is going to be focusing more and more on mining. Second day is going to be focusing more and more in the area of oil and gas, energy, and the rest of that. So you are more than welcome. We look forward to having you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, Your Excellency. Thank you.